Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have. As I see old Chris is in here, and I wonder if you are related to new Chris, who I thought is who sent us the video and who I gave credit to earlier, but maybe it was old Chris who sent us this Curtis Reeves video. So let's discuss Curtis Reeves. I was sent this video by one of our subscribers. Maybe it was old Chris, maybe it was new Chris. And they asked, why wasn't this info brought out during trial? Do you think this information could have affected the trial? Which way do you think this could have affected the trial? There were a lot of questions about this video. And I want to know from you your questions in the chat as we watch this video together and then discuss whether it would help or hurt Curtis Reeves and his defense at trial. So as we watch, put in the comments your question, but also put help or hurt as to how you think this evidence would have affected Curtis Reeves. And I think the actual video itself gives a description as to what we're going to watch, but I'll just give you a quick breakdown. And this is discussing Curtis Reeves and his prior run-ins with people at movie theaters, I guess is what we'll call it. So this was not his first issue at a movie theater. So let's watch together some of these witnesses that say that there were other similar instances of aggressive behavior, I guess we'll call it, by Curtis Reeves. Let's watch together.
And new tonight, we wanted to take a look back at two other alleged run-ins the suspected shooter had inside movie theaters. ABC Action News reporter Eric Waxler is showing us why those involved were not surprised this shooting happened.
Years before Curtis Reeves shot and killed Chad Olson inside a movie theater, Edward Thompson says he also had a confrontation with the retired police captain. In 2014, Thompson told ABC Action News he and a woman were at the Zephyr Hills Theater talking quietly in the back row during the previews. Reeves was close by.
Sitting in the seat, and he turns like this and looks back towards us. And he says, "Why don't you shut up?"
Thompson says he politely asked Reeves to find another seat, but Reeves responded, saying,
"This is my seat," and I said, "Shut up."
I talked to Thompson today. He says he's watching the case closely, even though he moved to Iowa. He says no one has contacted him about testifying.
I wrote a letter to the state attorney about a month ago and told him, if you want things, give me a 72-hour notice and I'll be there. Haven't heard nothing back.
Also in 2014, ABC Action News interviewed Michael and Jamira Dixon about an incident they say happened just weeks before Reeves killed Olson. The Dixons say at the same theater in Wesley Chapel, Reeves was also barking at them about texting during the previews.
He's like, "Can you do me a favor? Can you please just stop texting?"
Dixon says Reeves actually followed her out when she went to the bathroom.
I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with this guy?
After Reeves was arrested, both Thompson and the Dixons told us they instantly recognized him as the same man they had dealt with. All of them have spoken with authorities in the past, but it does not appear any will be asked to testify in the trial. Eric Waxler, ABC Action News.
All right. So we have watched the video. We have seen the potential evidence. Multiple witnesses say Curtis Reeves aggressively told them to shut up and turn off their phone in movie theaters, similar to what happened here. So again, in the comments, as I'm explaining, let me know if you think it would have helped or hurt Curtis Reeves' case by typing help or hurt in the comments. So first off, is this type of evidence admissible? And I think the answer is it depends, as most lawyers like to say. If it's just propensity evidence that this is how he always is, so that means that's how he is on the night of the murder, probably not coming in. But if it's other bad acts to show this is his MO, this is how he acts, he does this all the time, maybe even his habit evidence, then potentially it is admissible. But let's also take that a step further. Is it reliable? Is this evidence reliable? As soon as they saw it, they knew it was the same old man that did this to them in the theater. Maybe the state tried to prove that it was in fact the same old man, meaning Curtis Reeves, and they couldn't prove it. Maybe there was no video surveillance of Reeves entering or leaving, or these witnesses entering or leaving. I do always think it's interesting when witnesses call and write letters to the prosecutor's office trying to be involved in a case. So I think even if this was admissible, even if this was reliable, there may have been a reason the prosecutor didn't want to call these witnesses. You would think if the prosecutors thought it was going to help their case and hurt Curtis Reeves's case, they probably would have called them, right? So why didn't they call them? Why didn't the prosecutor call them? We always have to think about that. Now, I do think there could have been some benefit to this. I mean, obviously, as I look in the comments right now, all I see are hurt comments. People writing hurt, 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 one right after another. Everybody commented hurt just by hearing this testimony before I said anything. So I think that's an indication that it would have hurt his defense if just average people who could be potential jurors all think that it hurt without any explanation. And the state could have brought it up to say, he is always the initial aggressor. He's trying to pick fights at movie theaters. When his wife takes the stand and said he spoke softly and just asked them very nicely to turn off your phone, maybe that combats that and that impeaches her a little bit and says, oh, well, everybody else said he's a big jerk at movie theaters and he's yelled at people before. This is his MO. And when I look at how, because every witness, okay, every piece of evidence, everything throughout trial, both lawyers are going to have an angle that they attack. And if I'm the defense lawyer in this case, and we'll talk more about the defense lawyers on this case, I am going to look at this video and say, okay, if it's coming in, if it's admissible, I'm going to cross-examine them. So witness number one, he told you to shut up, right? Right, okay. You said no, right? Right. You told him to find another seat, right? Did you hit him? Did you throw popcorn at him? Did you throw your phone at him? Did you hit him in the face? Did you confront him? Did you attack him? Did you get up like you were going to punch him? No, you didn't do any of that, did you? Okay. Did he shoot you? No, he didn't shoot you, right? Okay. Nothing illegal about telling somebody to shut up in a movie theater. Okay. That's witness number one. Witness number two, the pair of witnesses. Her testimony or her statement on the interview was, he said, well, I wrote it down here. He said, could you do me a favor and please turn off your phone? Doesn't sound like a real aggressive thing trying to pick a fight. But again, I would ask the same questions. Did you throw popcorn in his face? Did you throw your phone in his face? Did you get up like you were going to punch him? Anything like that. And then they would say no to all that, obviously. And then you say, well, did he shoot you? No. He acted appropriately. That's how I would argue if I was the defense attorney. It's a self-defense case. The state has to disprove self-defense. They never had to disprove that he told him to turn his phone off, which really is all this is evidence of, that Curtis Reeves and other movie theaters told people to turn his phone off. And then lastly, when you talk about him following her out of the theater, if there's no video evidence of it, nobody else saw it, and we're not 100% positive that it was Curtis Reeves, I think you can pick that apart as a defense lawyer. So that's how I would attack it as a defense lawyer. So I actually think the prosecutor may have made the right move keeping it out, because I think the defense lawyers in this case would have picked it apart pretty well. But on the other hand, because we'd like to try to see both sides here, a lot of you thought it was really going to hurt. So just more piling on, like we've seen in other cases, like we saw in R. Kelly, we saw in Ghislaine Maxwell, we've seen in lots of cases, the generally bad guy rule. If you have other people come and testify that the defendant's a jerk, the defendant's a bad guy, the defendant did this to me, then usually that pile on can help convict the defendant, which in my opinion is why we don't want evidence like that, because in my opinion, these instances have nothing to do with what happened between Mr. Reeves and Mr. Olson. That's just me speaking my opinion legally. I don't think that they have anything to do with each other personally. But I know many of you may disagree, and feel free to tell me in the comments. I enjoy discussion on these types of topics, but very interesting question and video sent by New Chris or Old Chris, whoever it was. So I was happy to react to it on the case by case. We had a lot of fun watching it, talking about it, but now I want to get to your questions and comments on this video. So let's get into the comments here. I will scroll up to this string of hurts. Hurt. Cinema cop enforcing the rules would have hung him. Hurt. So, Christie, okay, then why not testify? It's pretty clear why they didn't testify. The state attorney did not want to call them. Both of these witnesses were obviously ready, willing, and able to testify as they wrote letters and called into the state attorney's office and even talked to the media, but the state did not call them. Definitely would have hurt. Grumpy old man on a power trip. Just my insights. That video shouldn't affect the recent trial, for which the question was proving if it was self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. In theory, what happened in the past doesn't matter. I don't know if what happened in the past completely doesn't matter, but I agree with you that these witnesses potentially would not have been relevant. Matthew Raftery helped him in defense. If I'm closing, mentioned Chad having violent tendencies. Hurt but wouldn't be allowed in, potentially, Deb said. A lot of people saying hurt. And Chris H., not they are looking for their 15 minutes of fame. That's possible, and that actually happens. We have people reach out to us sometimes in cases because they want to be involved sometimes. Oh, gosh. Well, I'll save it till after I'm done with this segment, but something else that you all recommended to me that I did this weekend. Let's see here. Connor W., the dude was a cop his whole life. He most likely used to getting his way no matter what, and being an a-hole isn't an excuse for the other person to attack him. I generally agree with that. Cops, it's hard for them to lose certain, you listen to my orders, so maybe if they have some of that in their personal life, but again, doesn't make him a murderer. It speaks to him being an annoying person, but has nothing to do with the case, Martina. Tracy, I don't believe them. Who remembers what a person looks like literally years after being shouted at in a cinema? I probably wouldn't remember the incident, never mind what the person looked like. Jack is saying the judge wouldn't allow them, so maybe that is the case. I didn't see them get removed, but potentially that is the case. Let's see. Martina, he was extremely unlikable. I don't think it would have hurt him since nothing seemed to hurt him. Interesting. Ms. Robbie Smith, oh my gosh, his lawyers drove me bonkers, which is a good transition. That's what we in the business call a transition into. I told you at the beginning of the trial that I knew a lot of the people involved in this case and had practiced with and against them, and they're in our area. My dad is buddies with Escobar, the lead defense attorney, and he spoke to him this week. I am circling back with him next week to set up a time for him to actually come on the show and talk Curtis Reeves. So we are going to have Mr. Escobar, the lead defense attorney in the Curtis Reeves trial, on the show, hopefully next week, if not when his schedule allows. That is going to be fun. And you can get in the comments, you can get on the community page, wherever you want, to post questions of what you want to hear. And I'm not going to be disrespectful to him. He is a great lawyer and did a great job. I know some people have beef with him, or I'll talk about whether or not he's been called a bully before. I'll talk about how long his closing argument. I'll ask questions like that. Fair game, but it'll be respectful. It'll be fun. And he's a fun guy. So I think it's going to be a really fun interview. Really looking forward to that discussion. Thank you, Mrs. Bobby Smith, for the transition. Let's see what else we got. Ms. Bobby Smith says it shows his character. I don't really know if it is. All right. Helen Pidgeot said, would you want him in your movie theater? He probably has been in my movie theater, if I'm being honest, but I have never gotten in an altercation with somebody in the movie theater. Has anybody else like spoken to somebody or yelled at somebody or got out of their chair or thrown popcorn? Like, that's never happened to me. So I think I'd be okay if he was in my movie theater. Honestly, I would be okay if Olsen was. I'd be okay if pretty much anybody's in my movie theater except an active shooter or something like that. All right. All right, so we are going to bring the Curtis Reeves discussion to a close. Thank you, everybody, for the comments and the questions. And please subscribe so that you can see when we're going to have Escobar on and you don't miss it. Make sure you hit that bell and hit the like on this video if you've enjoyed the Curtis Reeves content and if you will be back to talk to Escobar potentially in the future. Thanks for watching this episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you like this content, please share it with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to our page and like our videos. If you want some interaction, get in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to know any more information about our firm or this page, you can find out in the description or visit tragoslaw.com. We post multiple times throughout the week, so make sure you hit that bell so you can get the notification and not miss out on the next episode.